Hi there, welcome along to another workout for you to row along to. It's week 4, session 5 of the 500 meter plan, which means it's a bottom tier session today, and I'm doing nothing complicated. We're just going to do 35 minutes at 20 strokes per minute. Now your pace, if you're going for a 2K based training pace, is going to be around about 2K plus 18 to 20 depending on how you feel today. However, your option of this is also to do a heart rate cap. Now I do this with the Maffetone system, which basically takes 180 minus my age, and the result is the figure that I don't want my heart to get above. Option to this is just to pick between 65 and 75% of your maximum rowing heart rate and use that as your heart rate cap. Okay, so it's just gonna be a long, slow row today, 35 minutes. I'll of course keep you entertained, hopefully with my chat, distracted if nothing else to get through the 35 minutes. Now, as always, let's start off with our 4-minute warm-up. First up, set the drag factor on your machine to how you want it. If you don't know about drag factor, then please check out the video on this YouTube channel. Next up, go to your monitor and set it at eye height. So you don't have to look up and you don't have to look down. And finally, the foot strap should cover the bottom lace in your shoe, or if you're in socks like me, just let you bend forward comfortably as you get to the front of the machine. Okay, so 4-minute warm-up, starting at 18 strokes a minute at a nice gentle pace, please, in 3, 2, 1, go. So just get your body moving. Don't worry about actual pace, just take it from a kind of a feeler point of view where you're just feeling how all your muscles are reacting to rowing. The sooner you feel that you're getting loose and your heart rate comes up, then start to push your pace a little bit more, but you don't ever want to go above 2K plus 20 in this warm-up, okay? We're just going to stick at 18 strokes a minute for the main first 2 minutes before we get into the split drills. After all, today's session isn't going to be a tough one, so you don't need to be up at like 150 heart rate in order to make sure that you can get through it. Just being eased off enough, making sure your muscles are moving without seizing and without injury, without shocking your body. That's all that matters. And of course, the last 2 minutes, the drills we do there are exceptionally useful. It's one of the reasons I put them in the warm-up, is to make sure that you do them every time you do one of the sessions with me. They're so useful. They may not get your heart pumping, but in terms of flexibility and your stroke technique, they're really important. So take one more stroke, then take your foot out the foot straps and put it on the floor. And then just continue rowing with the other foot still in the foot strap, or in the foot stretch, or whatever you want to call it. Try and still keep your technique the same. I have a tendency to overlean at the best of times, but certainly with improved flexibility, it can get worse. And I've got one foot in. Swap your feet over. Continue rowing with the other foot in the foot strap. Make sure to still give a good solid push with the leg that's in. Let's not tickle the machine. Let's continue rowing. Then obviously finish with your arms. Okay, last stroke here. Both feet in, arms straight, and just row with your back and arms. So swing over your hips and then pull in your arms. Don't overlean again, but just from 1 o'clock at the front to 11 o'clock at the back, and then finish with your arms. 2 more strokes here. One more. And then let's do the reverse. Slide to the front with straight arms and push out from the front of the machine with your legs. Keep those arms straight. Don't worry about pushing too far back. This is just about the timing of picking up the flywheel at the front of the machine. If you get it right, your butt should take off slightly. One more stroke. Ooh, bang on 0. Right, that should be enough of a warm-up to get you started in today's session. Keep on moving up and down the rail, have a quick drink, and I'll describe one more time what it is we're doing today. So today's session then is 35 minutes at 20 strokes per minute. Pace-wise, well, it's the old favourite, don't push the slow stuff. From a 2K training pace point of view, you're going to be doing this round about 2K plus 18 to 20, but if you're doing it on a heart rate cap, then I just want you to keep it at either the Maffetone range of 180 minus your age, or between 65 and 75% of your maximum rowing heart rate. So if you start to go over that heart rate, just ease off your pace a little bit. But you might want to start off pace-wise around about that 2K plus 18 to 20 to let your heart rate drift up to that point anyway. I don't want you to zoom straight up to that point because that completely defeats the purpose of today's session. That would be pushing the slow stuff. Right, my watch is shouting at me for not getting back up and rowing. This thing's definitely going in the bin soon. There's 3 sessions in a row, it's really annoyed me. So let's get ready to go for 35 minutes at 20 strokes per minute in 3, 2, 1, go. So here we go. So 1 stroke every 3 seconds. And we're not having any gimmicks. We're not going to have any power strokes. Any changes of stroke rate. It's not to say you can't. If you want to do a power stroke every minute marker, then why not? Watch if you're doing the heart rate cap though, because you might balloon it, especially over 35 minutes. You might just find your heart rate creeping up way too much, and then you'd have to, for the meat of the row, have to back off quite a lot. And although the heart rate cap thing shouldn't really worry about pace, there is still an element of you want to row at some level of strength to help your muscles. So if you're having to be down at 2K plus 30 because you're doing power strokes every minute, you're maybe not getting much benefit across this 35 minutes as you would if you weren't doing the power strokes. Anyway. So keep an eye on your heart rate if you're doing the Maffetone thing, or the 65 to 75. But if you're just rowing with a 2K training pace, then hold your pace and don't alter it just because your heart rate goes up. They're 2 completely different ways to gauge the intensity you're putting on your body or the strain. It's probably less not destructive is the wrong word. The impact is probably less to mix heart rate training into a 2K based training program. But if you are doing a heart rate cap based system and you start to use training pace instead, then you'll find you'll be blowing out your heart rate cap and undoing a lot of the good you were trying to do. Anyway, there's so many different ways to train. All I'm trying to do, especially with this 500 meter plan, is show you a slightly different way to train. And then you can work out whether you want to use heart rate zones or whether you prefer the 2K based approach. 2K based approach certainly does make you have tougher sessions because you're mostly rowing faster than you are in the maffetone based one, but that can lead to fatigue quite a lot, so maybe you prefer the heart rate one because then you have more energy for doing the tough sessions. Who knows, it's up to you. In the same way that there's so many different plans you can follow for how they structure the training sessions in a week, there's also lots of differing ways to describe intensity, to lay out intensity and stuff, so find whatever works with you, especially if you're going to pay for it. Then make sure you're going to enjoy that system. It's okay with my stuff, because if you're doing it on YouTube, it's totally free. You don't have to pay a thing. But if you're suddenly paying £15 a month or something for a training plan, make sure that it's one that you're going to enjoy doing. That's why I like the idea of what Sam does with the Fitness Matters starter plan. It's like a 4-week starter plan that you find on Facebook. Just search for the Fitness Matters starter plan, to be honest. 4 weeks, really good sessions, lots of people doing them, so you can share your experiences with other users on the Facebook group. And then at the end of the 4 weeks, you basically then decide whether you want to actually go into his main rowing plan that you then start paying for, which then just rolls along forever. It's definitely worth it. If you look at the results of some of his rowers that he's trained, their results certainly speak for the effectiveness of the FM rowing plan. Anyway, what am I doing a sales pitch for him for? That's what I usually use, is his training plan. But ever since lockdown happened and I started making full plans on this channel instead, not really had a chance to be anywhere near his plan. Maybe after we do all the long rows through December, I'll return to his fold again. But again, no matter who you follow, unless they have no idea what they're doing, then everyone, you have to put faith in them and do what they say. So like, even me saying don't push the slow stuff, that's because the way I plan sessions is based around, well, that you don't push the slow stuff, you only push the fast stuff. And if you start pushing the slow stuff, you're then not going to have the energy to perform on the fast stuff, and therefore you won't get any faster. You'll be in a very lost mid-zone instead, where you're not getting fitter and you're not getting faster, which means you're not getting stronger. That's a no FFS. So no matter who it is, whether it's me or Sam or the Pete plan or anyone else, if you're going to do a plan, do the plan. Don't just dip in and out of it. But then a lot of this also depends why you're training. Is it because you want to perform? Is it just about getting fit? Is it about losing weight? Is it about changing how your body looks? All of those things have slightly different ways that you would train. Different amount of intensities, and certainly a different diet that goes with each one. But as far as rowing is concerned, what they all have in common is that technique is king. There's a segue for you. Bet you didn't see that one coming. No matter whether you're a first-time rower or an expert, whether you're doing this just to keep fit or you're doing this to try and win a medal or break a world record, from a efficiency point of view, in terms of how much you can row to make that happen, not just a fitness efficiency, but your body mechanics efficiency, and also injury prevention, you really, really, really want to zig a zig No, you really want to pay attention to something approaching good technique. So we're coming up for 12 minutes into this. Let's see if we can spend the next 10 minutes or so just doing a check on how our technique is feeling, looking and performing. Because you don't want to get lazy with your technique, and a nice long row like this affords you the chance to slow down a little bit and analyze the various positions of your body. So speaking of which, let's just start with our back. Familiar place to start. I apologize if you're hoping I would start with chin or something to try and mix things up. So you want your back to lean in at the front of the machine to round about a 1 o'clock position. Okay, so in at the front to 1 o'clock. Then towards the back, as you finish the stroke, you want your back to lean into an 11 o'clock position. That's simple, isn't it? So 1, 11, 1, 11. The trickiest part is how you change from one to the other. What I want you to concentrate on is, as you start your stroke at the front of the machine, try to continue holding that forward lean. Maybe for around about half of your leg drive, okay? And only then do you swing over your hips from that 1 o'clock to the 11 o'clock. So you're 1 o'clock, 11 o'clock. 1, 11. Okay, so drive, swing. So you really want to keep the forward lean as you push through your legs. Swing over your hips into 11. But then, as much as I want you to hold your 1 o'clock at the front, I want you to get out of dodge with your 11 at the back. So swing forward again. Swing, swing. Swing, swing. Swing, swing. And you can even tell by me just calling it out how quickly you're in and out of that 11 o'clock and back into that 1 o'clock position again. The key being, you want to swing over your hips and be back in that 1 o'clock before you start sliding down the rail again. Because what you don't want to be doing is continuing to lean forwards as you slide down the rail. It's all impacts of posture, to be honest. So anyway, that's your back angle. Took a while to explain that one, didn't it? Next, your posture. So as you get to the front of the machine, I want you sitting powerfully, not bolt upright like a plank of wood, but powerfully up on your sit bones, okay? So not with your hips tucked under, but up on your sit bones. You want your shoulders to be past your hips, and that helps with the posture and that thought about your sit bones. Because if your hips are tilted back and rolled under you, when you lean forward at the front, it's really hard to get your shoulders past your hips. So if you can really think about sit bones, shoulders past hips, hopefully you're in the right position. And then when you add in a braced core at the front, ready to take the power from your legs, you should be in a good position, ready for the next drive of the stroke. So anyway, powerful and on sit bones at the front. And then at the back of the stroke, try and maintain a powerful posture, but obviously because you're leaning back, it's not exactly the same. But again, importantly, you don't want your hips to roll under you. You want to stay powerful. The braced core again to accept the finish of the handle and then get you powerfully over your hips again for the return. So you stay sit bones and slide to the front. Which then, the slide to the front, you want to go as far as shins at vertical. So nice and powerful back, shins at vertical. Now if you go past vertical, it's up to you. Hey, who am I to say? But two things might happen. Number one, you don't get your heels down to be able to power through the stroke. And number two, you may change the angle of force too much so that as you push off, you're pushing more up and your butt goes flying off the seat. If your shins are vertical and you get those heels down, what you'll find is as you drive with the legs, your butt goes light on the seat, but it doesn't take off. Okay? So you just, a sense of almost weightlessness, like you're rolling on the moon without suffocating. But if you over slide so you're past vertical, your butt can take off. And what you don't want is a re-entry of the rail up your backside because you've left the seat. But now, if you can't manage vertical shins yet, because you don't have the flexibility, I advise checking out the video I have on YouTube called Rowing Technique Hacks, where there's a handy section showing how to use a post-it note to gradually improve your flexibility when rowing. So check that out. But anyway, you slide up in your sit bones, 1 o'clock, lean forwards, powerful posture, braced core. You getting all this? And then you're almost in the right position to start the stroke. Last thing is your arms. Nice and straight and relaxed. I want you to be almost like a zombie. So you go, nice and relaxed. You never find a tense zombie, do you? They're not panicking about work or the kids. All they do is go, so loose shoulders, loose arms, fingers like hooks over the handle, and then just a nice neutral height. I've got a piece of red tape at the throat of the machine where the chain passes through, and I try and keep the handle at that height as I come forwards. It's about 2 inches down from the top of the hole. But everyone's different. So anyway, relaxed arms at neutral height, and then we can start the stroke with our forward lean, braced core, up on our sit bones, shins at vertical. And you start the stroke by slamming your heels, or at least getting your heels down into the foot plate, and then push the machine away from you. Push. Push. And don't just think, he said push, so I'm going to push. Actually try to visualize pushing the machine through the wall. So think about pushing it away from you, not about you moving backwards on the machine. If you really think about pushing it away from you, you'll be amazed how more power you can get in, and how more fluid that power gets in. Anyway, so you push the machine, holding that forward lean, remember, as you push it away, and then keep those arms straight, okay? This is the big power leak that you see, is people grabbing too soon with a handle, and grab too soon. Don't do that. Keep your arms straight as you push with the legs, and let the power surge up through your posterior chain, through your body, into your shoulders, which are relaxed, into your arms, which are relaxed, and then into your fingers, into the handle, into the chain, into the flywheel, into the distance. Well, not really, you're stuck in the same place, but you get what I mean. And that all happens effortlessly, without a power leak, if you keep a forward lean and straight arms. The moment that you either fight the handle by grabbing at the front, grab, or by swinging your back too soon, swing, 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 you suddenly just leak power onto the floor. It's all around me. Okay? Now, if you don't row the way I'm suggesting, you might find it uncomfortable. You might even suddenly find you're a couple of seconds slower while you're training to do this. But that's only because you're not used to it. Do it for long enough, and not only will you regain the speed and power you had before, because you're not fighting against the power with your biceps and your lower back, you'll actually find your muscle fitness will be a lot better. Your biceps won't fatigue quite as quickly. You won't be prone to lower back pain. And if nothing else, with the arm grab thing, think about it. For me, with straight arms, when I come to the finish of the stroke, which I'll describe in a second, I have the whole arm pull. So I go pull, got my huge big gorilla arms pulling in, okay? If I were to grab and fight the machine too early at the catch, like this,
I've then only got half the arm length to finish with. And I'm also loading up my shoulders and my forearms in a way they don't need to be loaded at that point. So that's why you keep your arms straight. Maybe at the front, if you want to help with that, have a little external rotation of your elbows. That might just help keep your arms straight as you drive out. Anyway, so drive, push with the legs. Keep that forward lean, nice straight arms. And then, when your leg drive is about halfway, you swing with your back and then pull in with your arms. So once your swing over your hips starts, that's when you can finally bend those arms and finish powerfully. Send your elbows through your side. Squeeze those shoulder blades together. Engage the lats and finish round about sternum height. Again, you'll see a lot of rowers finish up here. Okay? So finish like that. And you'll see that they're fast. But what you find is that some of them, not all, but some of them end up with golfer's elbow from that motion. And because of the over lay back it promotes here, lower back pain. Now again, not all. There's some gold medal winners out there who row that way, don't get injured, but they're exceptionally strong and so can take the extra load. So develop a safe stroke first. See if that takes you where you want to get. And if you want to start tweaking it once you're strong, as much as I advise against it, I'm not your dad. I'm certainly not your mum. So it's up to you, but bear in mind what I'm talking about is efficiency, so you can row like this for hours, for days, or day after day. Not like, I'm not saying you can row for 200 hours non-stop. Just saying an efficient stroke that doesn't cause injuries should mean you can come back to it day after day. Whereas doing weird things may just tweak something, tire you out too soon, who knows. Anyway, so you finish with the handle. Then push that handle away from you again. So the pace you bring it in at, push it away at. In, out. In, out. Back into straight arms. And that push of the handle is what engages your forward lean back into the 1 o'clock position. So once the handle's forward and you're leaning forward, the handle will be over your knees, and then you can bend your knees and slide to the front, ready for the next stroke. Now what helps for all of that slide is to not yank your feet against the foot straps, because if I were to yank my feet off the foot straps like this, see my butt instantly tucks under and I'm in hips rolled under position. Whee! It's fun though. It's like being on a roller coaster. Woohoo! But my knees bend way too soon. Woohoo! I have to lift the handle over my knees, sorry, like this. And then I have to force my posture back up again in order to be primed for the next stroke, because otherwise I come to the front like this. Oh no! And then everything's loaded backwards, all because I'm tugging with my feet. So, easiest thing to do is just take your feet out the foot straps, and then there's no way you can do that. But word of caution, be very slow and methodical the first time you do this. Maybe even just loosen the straps instead of taking your feet all the way out like me. That way, if you go flying off the back, you can still catch yourself. Alrighty, 3 strokes to go. And we're done for today's session. Ta-da! So that was quite a full-on technique chat, to be honest. That was like 23 minutes worth of me taking you through it. But every now and then, it's good to just drone away at you very slowly and let you think about each part of the process as I describe it, rather than just going back from 1 to 11, arms straight, whatever, at which point you're just like boom, 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 with all the information and you don't take any of it in. Never give anyone more than 3 pieces of information at a time. That's what I learnt through my squash days, if nothing else. Or maybe it was just, that's how they dealt with me. They realised I was a bit thick. They're like, don't tell John more than 3 things at a time. You can't count to 4. Yeah, I have to ask my old coach about that. Anyway, right, let's get into a 2-minute cool down. Make sure you've had a quick drink and things. You're okay. I mean, that wasn't that fast a row, so you should be okay, not lying on the floor. Whoops, says he usually lets go of his handle. Let's kick into the cool down in 3, 2, 1, go. Pick a stroke rate and pace that suits you here, just enough to engage with the machine so that your muscles are just firing a little bit but not working hard. Slide into neutral. Pace wise, I tend to go 2k plus 30 for this. Just enough just to wind down. And again, for today's session, it wasn't that tough. You probably at the end of it thought, don't need a cool down, but this is more about habit forming. Making sure that you just get into the habit of every session you do doing a cool down, because there are definitely sessions where you really need to cool down. And if you kind of get into that lazy habit of just stopping and walking away, that's when you seize the next day and little injuries come in and cramp and all that kind of stuff. And plus, it's mentally fatiguing. Something quite nice about just disengaging and just la la la, 2k plus 30. Do do do. Look around you in the gym. Wonder why you're in a gym when everyone's on lockdown. But yeah. Anyway, so that was the end of week 4 of the 500 meter plan. Long and slow. We did not push the slow stuff. Next week, we will push the fast stuff. So, same again, session 5 next week is our test session. So for me, that's when I'm racing in the British Championships. So, what that means is that session 1 of week 5 will be a top tier fast one. And it's likely, there you go, I'm done. It's likely to be the Tabata Tabata Tabata. So we get the real killer session out of the way right at the beginning of the week. That then gives us 4 sessions to kind of smooth ourselves out, refine the fuel in our engine, make sure our engine's as clean and greased and powering as possible for that test at the end of the week. So get ready for that in session 1. Remember, depending on how you run your week, you may have 2 days at the end of this week in order to work out what you want to do. What I suggest is definitely take one of them as a rest day. Maybe take both depending on how you're feeling, or you could do some kind of an elective workout, whether it's rowing or cycling or on the ski erg or whatever. Then make sure you've taken at least one full rest day just to let your body mop up all of the cells it needs to and get them out of you so it's ready for next week. If you just carry on powering through in training, you're going to end up fatigued and not able to give it your all when it comes to the test at the end of this entire plan. And remember, this is the important one. The end of week 5, the big test, is what it's all been building up to. Can you beat what you did at the end of week 3? Let's find out, hey? We've got 1 more week to go. So make sure and hit subscribe on this channel, whether it's the podcast or the YouTube channel. If there's a button that you can click to get notified when I put one up, then go ahead and click it. And of course, I'd love to hear from you. So make sure to leave some comments in places. Well, obviously places I can see them. Don't just like go out with some spray paint and go, oh, that RowAlong guy, he sucks. Or he's great. Go for the he's great if you're going to spray paint it somewhere, please. And yeah, I've got the Facebook group. Make sure and hunt that out. It's just RowAlong. Go for the group. And Instagram is RowAlong Workouts, I think. Twitter's RowAlong Videos, because someone else has RowAlong. And that's it. So if you're going to use any of them, then of course, then tag it with a hashtag. And let's just do hashtag brick. So it's BRIC, brick. Because this is it. Next week is Brick Week. So you could even do Brick Week, or you could just do week, or you could just do brick with a K. Who knows? But anyway, that's if you've made it this far, which I really sorely doubt that you have. So it's Friday for me, and we all know what that means. It's spaghetti night. So I'm going to go enjoy a big plate of spaghetti. You all be well, stay safe, and I'll see you in week 5 of the 500 meter plan. Bye-bye.